Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's episode 276 of the Audible Farm podcast, and this episode is brought to you by the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. The Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association is all about supporting and connecting local artists, musicians, and creators right here in north central Iowa. Head over to fdfineartsassociation.org to find their community calendar packed with upcoming concerts, art shows, theater events, and more. While you're there, check out their podcast, FDT. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts. That's the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association, celebrating creativity and community in the Fort Dodge area. This week, I'm sitting down with nobody. I'm by myself. It's a solo episode. Not a whole lot to talk about this week. Just basic, cleanup. Why am I doing a solo episode, etc. But I got a couple topics I'm going to talk about, and they're nothing too pressing. I don't really think, I got some fun stuff in the works. I'm trying to work on a couple people to come on as guests, and more than a couple. I'm trying to plan out some stuff through the end of the year, and we'll see what happens here in the upcoming weeks as I try to get some episodes recorded and get some people to talk to. But I'll see you guys all when the episode starts. Cue the music.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
Okay, all right. This is a fun topic. I think about this one from time to time, and it's weird what kind of sparks me thinking about this, but I'm sure everybody that plays music in some capacity has gone through this, and maybe it's not exactly as, I don't know, it's the plateau of eventually, like, you learn something and then you kind of figure out how to do it, and then you just kind of, I don't want to say get comfortable with it, but it's just like, naturally, this is how far I came by myself with this. And where you think about, like, the first time you started, like, somebody gave you that aha moment learning music, and you like had leaps and bounds because it was so fun and you were figuring so much stuff out, and it, within, I would say, like, for me, it was like within a few months, I was like, oh, wow. And then, like, that was when I got, like, basically the majority of what I had learned was in just a few months. And since then, it's been like, well, now it takes you a few months and then you kind of learn something else. And then it takes you a few months and you kind of learn something else. And then after a couple months, you realize, like, oh, I stumbled into this accidentally and I don't know why it sounds good, but now I know why it sounds good and I can actually apply it over there differently. And it's, so you figure a few of those things out, but it becomes slower, and it's that plateauing. And I feel like it's tough to come out of a plateau. The only way I've found for myself to kind of come out of a plateau is to learn something new. So when I first started playing music, it was just a lot of, like, here's the, main 4 or 5 open chords that everybody plays for most songs. It's basically all of them except for B and F, because those are the 2 hard ones to play when you first start out. But for anybody learning that's listening to this, definitely learn the B and the F chord. It'll help you out in the long run. Anyways, but yeah, I just learned, like, those kind of songs. I played in church, and recently I thought about, like, my youth pastor that I'd like played music with when I was growing up, and it's just like, this is the first place I ever played music, and it's fun because there's, like, a captive audience, and, like, nobody's going to boo you at a church. So I felt pretty good about it, and it's fun to be able to play along with somebody, and that was my first taste of, like, playing live music. But, it was later in life where I kind of was like, this is how you solo and this is how you do all this stuff. And that was when I, like, had the big leaps and bounds learning moments. And I went through phases where it's like, I like punk music, which isn't really super involved, but you're playing a lot of, like power chords and things like that. And it's just very, like, leaning straightforward. Like, there are quirks to it that, like, if you play punk music, you're actually, like, better at doing certain things than other people that don't necessarily play it, just because of the way the music lends itself, and that was kind of what I'm talking about. It's like almost like technique more than theory with learning different things, because it's like I learned how to do certain things doing that compared to when I started playing, like, metal music and things like that. And then, eventually it was just like, let's start learning some blues, and then let's start learning some this or whatever. So I don't know. It's, you start to kind of go through these phases of learning different types of music. And the weird thing was, like, the more I learned, the more I realized I, like, didn't know. I don't know if it might be like a Carl Sagan quote. It's probably older than this, but it's like, what is it? As the island of our knowledge grows, so do the shores of our ignorance. And it just, it's one of those things like this is where I'm kind of coming full circle, but like it's the plateauing that kind of, what is it that makes you want to come out of a plateau, or how, if you're listening to this, comment with like your ways that you break a plateau. Cause it's something that I feel I run into a lot personally. I feel like I see it a lot. And some of that is also like what I might be thinking as plateauing might be like others would call like finding their voice, which, maybe that's okay too. But, I feel it in like some of the most talented people. It's just like they lean this direction most of the time when they play. If there's like, if they're like completely unbridled, the horse is out of the pen, just do whatever you want. This is the kind of the thing they do, and this is that's just kind of how people are wired. I feel like, it's no different than this is how this person talks, or like when this person's around these people, this is how they act, and that's just kind of, how people are wired, generally speaking. We're going to pick the voice that fits the thing that we're doing. And it's, even though we might change it a little bit, it's still going to be our voice. It's still going to be our tone overall, and that's something that I see in myself quite a bit, especially when I play music with like Jesse. And it's funny because like I try to steer away from it in some capacities when I'm playing, if I can. And it's like the blues, like that was like the first thing I really like learned how to play. And generally that's what most beginners kind of learn how to play, because it's kind of the fun beginners solo stuff. The stuff's not too fast. If you can play triplets, it sounds pretty neat. It's just basic stuff, applied, with just a couple rules that you can break. It's fun. But like as I play with Jesse, I find myself, especially like later in the evening, I'll just be like, well, let's just blues this song up as much as possible with, the common blues riffs that you always, might necessarily hear, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just what I tend to lean to. I think it's because that's where I first found my voice, but it's fun to play shows with people and kind of get away from that. And it's fun to kind of try and break, maybe it's just for me, but it's fun to kind of just like break the mold and try and do something. So like, I'll do things where I really like to bend the strings, bend notes and things like that. And so like, I think it sounds fun and it sounds good. So like, I will do things where like, I will just make a nonsensical, it's not a rule for myself, but it's just like a challenge where it's just like, just don't bend any strings this song, or like, just see how long you can go without doing it. But like, you don't limit yourself. You're just kind of like, let's just see what happens, and it was fun because I think about like a time I played a show with Clint Riedel, and I used to play a lot of shows with Clint, and I don't play as many shows with Clint now as I used to, but I was playing a show with him a few weeks back, and we were at Soldier Creek Winery up near Fort Dodge, and it was fun because it's like because I don't play with him all the time anymore, I felt like I was out of the rut that it's that thing where you're just like, this is how I think this song should go. This is generally how I'm going to play it. And this is what's going to go down. And again, it wasn't like I made this rule and was just like, this is what's going to happen. And there's no way you can get around it and don't break this rule. But it was just something where I was like, I'm going to try and play this a little bit different than I normally would. And not like, I'm not going to be lazy or anything. It's just like, I'm going to try to pick more for feeling and like economy of notes and just see what happens. I'll try to play like maybe some more double stops. I always like the way they sound, but it's just not my voice, if that sounds weird. Like, it's one of my favorite things in music, honestly, but it's like I don't do them enough, and when I do, I usually tend to lean towards like 2 or 3 patterns of certain ones, and that's it. But I guess maybe so do other people. So like, I don't know. Again, this is long story short. I played that show and it just felt a little different for me. It was fun. It was refreshing. It gave me this like thing where I felt like, oh, you can do this. It was almost like, if you're a chef and someone's like, you don't use this, and you're like, oh, I don't know what I can do without. That's my favorite spice or whatever. I put that in everything. cream fraiche, whatever it is. But yeah, so like I felt like it was like kind of like that, where it was just like I got to do things I wouldn't normally do because and again, it's not like I made a rule. It was just something like, I think maybe it's been on my mind lately while I try to learn things. And this is where it dawned on me. It dawned on me the other day. I was walking through a grocery store and I heard a song. And that song, I was like, oh, I know this song. And it's weird because it had just like the opening notes hit, and I was like, oh wow, I know this song. And it wasn't like any like crazy song, but it's just kind of like a nice, easy, funky song. And I was giving guitar lessons, and believe it or not, it sounds weird, but like I gave a lot of bass guitar lessons, and I'm not a bassist, but like I became good at the bass because I was giving bass guitar lessons, if that makes any sense. It's not like I'm great at the bass, and it's not like, it's not exactly like riding a bike. I do play bass from time to time, but like when you're playing every day, it's different than playing it twice a month or like maybe once a week, if that. It's one of those types of deals. So I got to the point where, like the students would come in and they'd be like, I want to learn this, or I want to learn that, or can you teach me how to do this? And it's like, yes, I can. And this is how we're going to do it. And a lot of times what it was it basically was like, I have a week to learn what I'm teaching them. So that way I can, like, if I need to, I can show them how to do it, and so that was the driving factor of me learning stuff. It sounds so weird to think that like teaching someone else is how I learned, it's that cheesy thing they always say, like the kids are the ones that are teaching us, and it's so true though. Like I don't give lessons almost at all anymore. Like it's just not what I do. I don't have the time. And when I do have the time, I like to, at least salvage a little bit of free time. So, giving lessons though, it just made me think like that teaching experience it was new for me. It was fun for me. I liked doing it. And, I feel like I learned more doing that than I did doing other stuff. 'Cause I had to like figure out what was happening. And then if somebody asked why, I had to kind of at least figure out why. And music theory is fun because like there's almost always a why. And if there's an exception, there's a why for the exception usually. And sometimes it's just like, I don't know. This just sounds good because why not? And there's probably a why if somebody went to school for, 4+ years and told, they'd probably know why. But for me, I didn't exactly know why all the time. But anyways, this learning of new things is I feel like it's more difficult the older I get, but it's weird what inspires you to learn, or me to learn these new things. Again, like playing that show with Clint, and not like, again, restricting myself in any way, but just challenging myself to play this differently than you would normally play. I think a lot of it is I play by the mechanics of things. Like I look down and I see this is where everything is, and these are the patterns, and those are the boxes, and this is what you have, and these are the chords, and you can kind of shape them this way, and you can do it this by moving this stuff, and you can change it. But I feel like I don't play as much by ear, if that makes any sense. I'm not necessarily an ear player. If somebody's playing a thing, I can like be like, okay, this is like 1, 4, 5, or whatever, and then there's a 7 or whatever, or I can kind of get that for the most part just by ear. But at the same time, picking a key is not the easiest for me. So no perfect pitch here. So if you don't have perfect pitch, throw a like wherever you're listening to this. But yeah, I don't know. It just, I feel like maybe that's what it is I challenge myself more to play by ear and feel and again, picking less notes and giving yourself less time. And I feel like maybe that's my excuse for playing. And it's not like I'm shredding or anything, but it's like sometimes I'll just ramble with triplets for like too long, and it's like, oh, I'm literally just like dancing around until I just need to hit the note at the end of this to make it the last note, and everybody knows it's the last. Like that's the only thing I'm doing. I'm not actually soloing. I'm just playing notes and filling the space until it's over with. And I feel like that's something that again, in this learning experience, I'm just trying to learn new things, and I'm not as brave to like attempt things now as I used to be, but I am like going online and seeing a lot of fun stuff. So this is going to segue into like what I would call like, I don't know, maybe act 2 of this, or the second part of this was like, I brought up the algorithm a few times on the podcast. Sometimes I was on another podcast, the McAllister Hours. I talked a little bit about the algorithm and how it just kind of dinks with you. So like, one thing I've been finding is if you try really hard, you can change your algorithm. But the problem with that is, and by that I mean like when you open up a social media app and you scroll and do the things you do, what's being shown to you? Because basically they have stuff in the background figuring out a pattern that you would like, and they're giving it to you. It's not just like a real-time feed of here's all the stuff. So my algorithm is always just out of whack all the time because I'm always kind of dinking with it, but also like, this is the thing. I've talked about it before. You could spend a little bit too long on something and it'll just think like all of a sudden, you love this thing. And now it's showing it to you all the time. And I hate that part about it, but I also love it because it gives you an opportunity to kind of like train it to do new things. So like there's people online that are these like people that just give guitar like lick lessons, I guess. They're like, here's a thing and it sounds good over this chord and here's why. And then it's just like a quick little doodad, and they'll break it down by like 2 or 3 different pieces, and then they're like, when you play it all together it sounds like this, and then when you speed it up to real time it sounds like that. And it's like, whoa, a new pattern, like, and that's probably my favorite and the most frustrating part about the guitar and like music is it's so finite by the way that we play it. There's only this many notes and there's only that many patterns, and eventually things are going to overlap. And this is not me saying like, this is why you should forgive bands that steal songs or whatever, like, because it's just eventually it's just gonna, this pattern's the same because theirs is this. Like, I get it, like, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like, there's licks in guitar. That's what all the guitar players, it's like you've learned a lick because it sounds good, and then now you've regurgitated that lick. Yes, you have some of your own licks, but chances are somebody else has played that lick, or whatever it happens to be. But like, it's just kind of frustrating when you're just like, go learn something new and you're like, it was right there. It's 6 notes long and it's right there, and I didn't figure this out. And it's so frustrating. I wonder if that's like how comedians feel when like somebody else comes up with a joke where they're like, what the heck? It's that easy. Like, that was right there. Like, or whatever. Like, I wonder if, it's just something like that. It's so frustrating to learn these new things just from these short little videos. But I do want to like package all of this together, this algorithm bit, eventually here. But it's fun because what I've done is I've like watched some of those, and then you find people, and then you're like, I like these, and then like before you know it, you start to watch ones on people shaping tone, which is something I'm trying again like really hard not to like fall into the pedal addiction thing. I was somebody that for a while I was like, I'm chasing tone, and then it's like, I gotta have this pedal and I gotta have that pedal, and now I'm like somebody that's just like, I want to never use my pedal board ever again. I love it, actually. I'm going to use it forever, but like, I don't know. There's something about it where it's just like, I don't like leaning on this thing very much, which is another thing where like I played that show with Clint, and it was just like 1 amp, 1 channel. This is your tone. Do it with the volume and tone knobs, and figure it out. You can do it. And I did, and it sounded good. Another thing about that was Clint actually did come up to me like a week later and was like, that show was interesting. You played different than normal, but it sounded really good. So it's kind of fun to have somebody else take notice. But yeah, I don't know. It's fun to learn these things online, and it's kind of frustrating to like learn them this fast. And I don't know. Like, these are things where I'm trying to like slide these things into songs, and maybe at a jam night, just play like a slightly different pattern or something. Like I lean so hard on triplets because of like, I think it sounds better with blues music, and I don't know, like, but it makes it so like when I want to do like 16th notes, sometimes my brain will do a few 16th notes, and then before you know it, I'm just like falling back organically into the triplet game. But that's one of the fun things, again, about like learning about new guitar stuff is, I don't know. There's no wrong way to play the guitar. I've seen so many people play it so differently with so many different talent levels. It's just, I don't know. It's just fun to play. I was thinking about that also. Like, music is so crazy because as I'm retraining my algorithm and I'm learning like new guitar stuff, and now it's like, this is how you mix stuff and this is why you would mix it this way. And it's like, oh, that makes sense. And then you start to go down that rabbit hole a little bit. And, before you know it, like, you can train your algorithm to show you mostly only the things you want to see. Sometimes it'll like consume you, when you get home from work and you're sitting in your car, like, just a couple more scrolls just to see the thing I want, and, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think. There was like a funny scenario recently where I was watching something and it was like this, and it was very music theory based discussion that was going on. And I'm like, holy crap, I understand this, and it wasn't like deep into music theory, but it was deep enough where it's like, oh, wow, I guess I never thought of it like that, and it's just fun to have those like epiphanies, to just be able to realize, maybe not so much tied to the instrument. You can like learn music, if that makes any sense. Goofy example. The first instrument I really like learned anything on, other than the recorder in school, which whatever, was like the trumpet. I learned how to read music and play the trumpet, and I was like sight reading and doing that stuff. Like, that's how I played music. And then eventually it's like, I got to play the guitar, but there's like no notes. There's no like sheet music. Nobody plays sheet music with guitar. So it's like, how do I got to do this? And like, then I got to figure out what notes are and what everything is. And eventually I just played by memorizing and stuff. But then when I learned music theory, somebody taught it to me with piano. So I'm like up here, scoring music, just being like, this is what it sounds like in my head. And then you'd play it on the piano and it might go something like this. Or if you write it too complex, you have to give it to somebody else to play. Because I can't really play the piano, but like for the longest time, my brain only saw music theory in the terms of like the way the piano was set up. And it took me a long time to eventually like fully push that into the guitar and be like, oh, okay. And then kind of figure out what's going on from there. But I think maybe some of what I'm trying to say is like, it's fun to learn something maybe on your non-native instrument. This is like a fun concept. So like learning on your non-native instrument made me think of like people that go to like learn another language and then go somewhere else, to like learn abroad. And then they're like learning in their non-native language. Like, that's gotta be mind blowing. I always thought it was like, how crazy would it be to like learn Spanish and then you go to like Spain, and while you're in Spain going to school, you're like, somebody gives you French class, but you have to like learn it in Spanish. Like, how crazy would it be to like learn another language in another language? I don't know. That'd be fun. But yeah, I don't know. Like learning on your non-native instrument. Like, the other thing I want to talk about with these like shorts. So let's imagine these shorts, YouTube shorts, or these Instagram reels, or whatever, what TikToks, whatever you're watching, wherever you're at. These are like a minute long, maybe two. And it's somebody just being like, here's a guitar lick, this is what it is. Or somebody's like, this is how you mix a whatever, and this is why. Or like, have you ever thought of how blah, 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 and then there's this, and then that's why the guitar is the shape it is, or like whatever. So there's like whatever kind of flavor you're out there trying to search for. These like snippets of things where you learn, everything advances over time, but it reminds me to be like thankful for like how long it took me to go on the internet and find videos that like taught me something in a way that I would learn. It's not that people are bad teachers. It's just that people learn differently, and you have to have somebody explain it to you in the right way. And this is something like I guess I learned from a young age, where it's like, if I can explain how to do this like 2 or 3 different ways, it probably behooves me and the person sitting next to me, and they'll probably learn faster. And if you can explain to them why, without ruining anything, show them why you don't do it the wrong way. So like, I had to go online. I had to like watch, like the same concept explained to me by like 7, 8, 9, 10 different people. And it's just like, I already took music theory classes. I just don't understand how like these lessons just aren't hitting and going to the guitar. And, the problem was you'd have to sit through every video. Every video feels like the first lesson ever for somebody, or it feels like you're watching like whatever, like Michelangelo Batio's Speed Kills video, where it's just like blah, 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 and it's just like, what's going on here? I don't understand this. Or like that Malmsteen video where he's like, this is how you do this. It's an arpeggio and A. Here they all are, and he just plays them all. It's like, what are you doing, dude? Like, there's no room in between there in the internet, like, learning game. It felt like for so long. So, like, you'd be watching a video and be like, okay, so on the G string, if you go to the second fret, that is what we call an A note. And that is where the scale, and it's just like, we get it. Okay, just play the thing and tell me why. Don't slow this down this much, you know? So I feel like these little snippets here that you can find online, like, they help, I guess, in my opinion, they're helping me kind of learn something in a fairly quick sense, without like somebody just being like, hi, I'm so-and-so, welcome to my channel, do the thing. And then also, here's some music. And then also, here's some other stuff. And then now, when my grandpa first gave me a guitar, this, that, and the other, and and then eventually we'll finally get to the thing I'm talking about. And it's 4 minutes into a 15-minute long video. And they start talking at 4 about what they actually want to talk about. And then they get to like 20 minutes in, and then all of a sudden you're like, there's the point, you know, like that, this snippet here was all I needed, you know, or you wish you could just chop stuff up, you know, maybe that's exactly what I'm doing. I don't know. Maybe I should make more reels of this and show you guys the little snippets instead of all of me rambling, but maybe you want to fill your day with my rambling. But I feel like this is so much better than YouTube lessons in some capacity. You don't get the longevity of somebody explaining something multiple ways, but they can be like, here's a lick, and then here's an example of what it sounds like in a song. Or like, here's a new chord you could play, and it fits here because of that, you know, and like just something kind of like that. I feel like it's so much better for these little snippets. And it's funny because like I have piles of them saved, and I don't have like a guitar spot set up right now to sit and practice. And that's basically where I'm getting with all of this. It's like, I don't practice the guitar as much as I should anymore. And when I actually sit down and do practice, it's almost like I forgot how to do it. It's shocking. Like the big point to all this was basically like, I don't practice enough. And when I do practice, I get better, and it's obvious. You just have to spend more time with your instrument, and it's something I don't do enough of, and it's embarrassing. And I'm sorry, but you know, it's weird when you, again, sit down and learn these things. Like right now I have a pile of, on different platforms, like reels saved of different things where I'm going to sit down eventually and just be like, I'm going to learn how to do these like X amount of licks. And now I'm going to take them to a jam night and play them somewhere where nobody's ever seen me play like this. And I'm going to try something in a completely different style, you know, and just try new things. Like that's all I really want to do. And I always feel like I don't try enough new stuff, you know. I feel like this is what I like to play, and this is how I like to sound, and these are the tones I'm used to. This is the pedal board I want because it has 900 overdrive channels on it, and I can do whatever I want with all the overdrives, you know, or whatever it happens to be. I've got all the delay and reverb and chorus, so I can cover up all the blemishes as much as possible. I don't know. That's just kind of, I guess, my general consensus I came to after hearing a song while walking through a grocery store. Again, that was like the big thing that sparked this whole topic. I was thinking about it on my way home from work today. It's just kind of weird. I don't know. Kind of fun. But yeah, so that's that general thing. Has anybody else out there like that's given lessons felt this way, where like giving lessons makes you learn new things faster, even like you learning things you wouldn't normally want to learn either, which is kind of funny because it's like, pay me and I'll learn it, and then I'll teach you how to do it, which is kind of a weird thing, but that's like the agreement basically being made at lessons, you know. And you know, you teach people theory to an extent along the way. There's a few people that kind of took off with what I was teaching them, and a few people that kind of just learned what they needed to learn, and then they were kind of just done with it. But it's fun to know that there's people out there learning. The other thing is like, how do you feel about these like YouTube lessons back in the day? It would just be like somebody giving the same 3-minute introduction where they're just like, hi, I'm so and so, I do this for a living, and blah blah blah, and look at my hat, or whatever it would be. There'd be something just nonsensical, and then they'd finally be like, all right, today we're going to learn this. And again, it's like minutes into the episode. But I guess, again, I do that. I blab at the beginning of the episode, and I finally play the music, and the episode happens. But I don't know. The little short bits, I think, are very beneficial in that capacity. Has anybody tried to, like, I don't know, find different types of clips? Because like I've found like fun ones where it's like, here's the history of rock and roll and metal and all this other stuff, and then it's like, here's how to play guitar, and then it's like, here's interviews with people, and again, like mixing things, and this is how you build stuff, and this, and it's getting weird because sometimes they're talking about mixing and capacities I have no understanding in. I mean, I do, but again, it's like, I'm not going to get that deep with it. That's why I pay somebody else to record music if I want to record music, which hopefully Three Finger Betty's album will come out sometime soon, John. But yeah, go back and listen to that episode. That's a fun one. But yeah, did anybody feel the same way about the YouTube lessons back in the day? And does anybody feel the same way about the little shorts that you can watch now? I just, like I said, I keep plowing different ones into there. I keep trying to find different ones that are going to teach me new things. I've been getting like really weird into like hybrid picking and different alternate picking styles. And again, it's not something I'm good at because I'm not spending a whole lot of time with it, but I'll basically be like, oh, that's how they do it. And then you kind of figure out like, this is why they do it. And, some of the most fun stuff I have saved that I haven't tried yet is like, mimicking a pedal steel with like just a regular guitar. It's just so fun watching people do it. But it looks difficult. I just need to figure out how to do it. It's just fun. I don't know. And then again, this is all like, everybody kind of lends themselves to different styles, and they are just different people. I think about like all the people I've interviewed over the years that play different types of music, and they're very good at that type of music. Can they play other music? Yeah, maybe, but like, this is what they like, so this is what they're doing, or this was the opportunity that was presented to them, so that's where they're going with it, or whatever it happens to be. But yeah, that's me trying to train my algorithm, trying to figure out like weird stuff like chicken picking and stuff like that. It's just fun to watch people do the things you can't do with the same instrument that you're using, and you're just like, you're doing that with it? Like, whoa. And it's just kind of fun. I don't know. That's just a random thought. But yeah, while we're talking about going through the algorithm, one more topic I got for you. All right. So I'm going to look over here at the screen. But yeah, so like, I looked up this thing. I came across a few times with some people that, little clips and stuff that I was seeing online. And it's the guitar department with Joe Alton. I know there's going to be some people out here that are like, what? You never heard of that? But like, I had never watched or heard any of this, or like really looked any of it up or anything. But it's been a thing for a while. I don't know. Like the Facebook page has been there for at least 5 years. So it's just kind of cool to know that that's out there. What it is it's a guy, Joe Alton, and he plays guitar and he talks to people, and that's freaking cool because it's like if I really, really, really had like my dream show, it'd be something like this. But I don't play guitar well enough to ever want to play guitar in front of people in this capacity, I guess, where people would be like watching you play guitar with other people. But the show's fun. I've been seeing little clips of it. He's talking to people, showing things, and I'm learning stuff while looking at this. Just looking at the different people that are on it and the different people that are what they're doing, and it's cool to like see like the Iowa ties that come into this, and the people that have been on the show that are coming on the show. It appears to be, I want to say like, it looks like once a month, but it's like super cool to see people that have been on it before. And there's like a couple people that have been on this that have been on the Audible Farm podcast. So that's also very cool. But I just wanted to throw a plug out here for this, because if you have not seen this before or looked at this, or if you don't know what this is, I just for the sake of looking at stuff, if you're watching this or if you made it this far into this episode, you absolutely have to check this out. The Guitar Department with Joe Alton. I'll put a link down below to the Facebook and the Instagram as well. I found there's episodes on YouTube on the Mediacom MC22 channel. Maybe I'll put that link down below as well. Why not? Free plugs all around. Who else wants a link down below? Call in. So like, I don't know. This is just kind of cool. Watching a couple episodes. There's an episode with Matt Woods on there, I believe. There he is right there. Matt Woods, 6 months ago. The Guitar Department, number 84, Matt Woods. So, you know, if you like this, but you were like, oh, you need to have people play guitar, that's the show. Like I talked about it with Mason, like everyone's got a little bit of a different format. We're all kind of doing a thing, and nobody's really stepping on anyone else's toes doing the thing we're doing, because that's where that content is at. If you guys want to go watch people play guitar, go check him out. Joe Alton's not too bad at guitar either. I watched him play just a second ago. He's very good. Yeah, rock and roll. It's very fun. So totally check it out. It's like it's kind of like a local access show, but it's really kind of cool. So again, they're on YouTube. I'll put the links down below. I'll write a note to make sure I put links, and there we go. I'll make sure I put the links down below. But it's totally worth checking out. I've only ever watched a few of the reels. I did a little study today. I'm like, this is super cool. So what I'm going to do now is I've found episodes that I really want to watch. As you can tell, I'm just like looking at it, scrolling around. But I'm going to go back and watch at least a couple of the episodes, because I know there's a few that I want to check out. And there's the thing that's fun is there's people on there again that like, it's like, oh, this person's in Iowa, they're doing this. That's pretty neat. Oh, this person's from Iowa and they're doing this. That's pretty cool. This person's going through Iowa and they're doing this. That's pretty cool. You know, so there's like really neat stuff going on there. And yeah, so check that out. Again, it's totally worth looking at. Again, just slightly outside of my region, but again, something that I feel like, again, if you're listening to this episode and you're this far in, you got nothing to lose. Go click on it and check it out. Very fun stuff. I just want to say that again. Very fun stuff. It's it fits. I feel like it was perfect with that like retraining of the algorithm. It's like I want new stuff that's gonna like reinvigorate me to like really kind of like open my eyes to everything else that's out there. Because I think the problem is like, again, I get used to playing with the same people, doing the same stuff, and going to mostly the same places and seeing most of the same bands and doing all the same stuff and talking to the same people. And I just kind of feel like, I don't know, it's not like it's a rut, but it's just like, I just need something else just to go check it out, you know? And that's why like playing with Three Finger Betty is something I still do, because I love doing the different things, you know? I think maybe, you know, as it's become slightly unbalanced because, you know, Clint's on tour and John, you know, like was injured for part of the year and couldn't play the guitar, you know, like through some of those, maybe that's where like the unbalancing has come in here, and it's been a little weird, but yeah, so I don't know. This is something fun I stumbled across organically, so hats off to the algorithm, etc. But totally worth checking out. Again, I'll put the Facebook and Instagram down below. I don't believe there's like a website or anything. There might be like an MC22 whatever, but yeah, totally worth checking out. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to do more research to figure out how long this has been going around, but it's very, very much worth checking out. Yeah, very fun stuff. So hats off to Joe Alton. That's I'm not actually gonna take my hat off. It would take my microphone or my headphones off. Anyways, yeah, as I close this up, because we're getting, you know, a little over a half an hour in here, and I don't want to make this terribly long. The solo episodes aren't listened to as much as the other ones, and that's understandable, because who wants to listen to one person talk to themselves about nothing into the void of the internet? But yeah, it's been super fun. In my personal life, I've been doing a lot of podcast stuff, maybe not necessarily just for here, but as like the holidays ramp up, there's a lot of people trying to like scramble to get his stuff pre-recorded and stuff, so they don't have to like maybe worry about it over the holiday season, which is, you know, something I'm trying to do as well. And yeah, I don't know. I just need to learn to manage my time a little bit better, because I'm kind of trying to squeeze it all in here. And yeah, I have like misplanned and mistimed like a lot of fun opportunities for podcasts in the last year, and it's very unfortunate. But you know, there's always time. So yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of fun stuff that's been happening around Iowa and the music scene. Was it like the Iowa Music Awards was something that was happening not terribly long ago? Yeah, the Iowa Music Awards. Yeah, there was people I know that were like in and nominated, and they were doing stuff, and it's just super cool, you know, like to go out there. And then there's also stuff where it's my favorite thing about, I don't know, it's frustrating to like not know everything, but like it's fun to be like, oh, there's other people like doing this, and they're like only 100 miles over that way, and I just didn't know. Even though the internet's a thing and we can all contact each other and talk to each other as much as possible, we just didn't know, you know, and like that's, you know, some of the fun parts about these. But I also want to, you know, let everyone know, like, awards for art comes down sometimes to things that are subjective, and award shows aren't the end all be all. So if you don't get an award, don't be upset. That's my little cheer up speech for anybody that was either not considered or didn't get an award. So, but congratulations to everyone that did win. It's got to be freaking cool. I don't know if I've ever really won. Nah, I've won a couple awards in my life. Yeah, I definitely have. Yeah, it feels awesome. So yeah, congratulations to everyone out there that won. And it's super cool because like it's neat to know there's like, I don't want to say like governing bodies, but there are a couple of these types of organizations in Iowa recognizing people that are doing good things. So, you know, hats off to people out there doing good things. Again, like if your objective is not to go out and win an award, maybe you're not going to win an award, but at the same time, if you're doing what you want to do, that's all you really need to be doing. I think about that so much with music. Like, I don't know, playing music with Jesse, he'll go out and he'll, you know, like, I want to say like tour, but he'll play a lot of shows and do the thing where he's out there showing everybody what he does. And then he'll take, you know, a little bit of time in the winter or whenever it happens to be. He'll be like, yeah, I'm going to take a month, like a pocket here, and like record 2 songs. And it's like, what? And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I just need to have some time to sit down and do some of this. And it's fun because I feel like that for like the singer-songwriter, maybe that's the difference. You know, like I'm going to sit here and record a thing. I'm going to sit down and write a thing, or I'm going to sit down and learn a new thing, or whatever it happens to be, versus going out and playing, you know, every night. And I don't know, maybe that's, I don't know. The other thing is like jamming is not learning, and just like goofing around and noodling is not practicing technically, you know, like you're not getting better kind of, you know, like if you're just noodling around as much as you were if you were like dedicated. So yeah, we're back to like learning stuff. Anyways, the episode is done. Let's cue the outro music. I don't have anything else to say other than what's going to be said in the outro. So let's go. All right, there we go. 276. Boom, done. I don't know. This one didn't have too many topics. This one wasn't too invasive, but yeah, there's no mastering an instrument. You're just not going to do it. I hate to say it, you're just not going to do it. I mean, you can get as good as you want. I know so many people are so good at the instrument, and then sometimes you're just like, play this, and they're like, oh, whoa, okay, yeah, I guess I never thought of that. Or like singer-songwriters that can just like play any song, but then there's one song that'll like trip them up. And you're like, this is the one that trips you up, but that's, hey, you know, it's the thing. That's the beast. That's the nature of the beast. You can't learn it all, but that's the fun, is just going out there and trying learning it all. And even if you don't want to learn it all, you can go out there and watch other people learn and enjoy the fruits of their labor in, you know, in the consumer sense, I guess. It's fun also to just sit and watch. You know, that's something else that I just, I got away from for a while, was just like sitting and enjoying, as opposed to being there like for like the business transaction of like, I am here to play guitar at a jam night, or like I am here to entertain the crowd while they have an enjoyable Friday night. And I, you know, that's what I'm here for. You know, it's like fun to have, you know, just different things like that, you know, but like going in and just enjoying is, I don't know, there's just something special about just watching other people play music. Just makes me think about, these guys are at work, you know, I don't know. But yeah, I feel like this episode was fun. Also, go check out the guitar department with Joe Alton. I've never talked to him. Maybe I'll have to bring him on the podcast. Maybe he doesn't want to come on the podcast. He's got his own show. He's got a big time show. Maybe he doesn't want to come on this little time show, but I don't know. Again, the show seems fun. I'll put the links down below for that. That'll be the links for this episode. And that's about all I got. So thank you to the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. Thank you guys for listening. There's Audible Farm links even further down below. So check it out in the description. audiblefarm.com. There's all the social medias. watch the episodes a day early on Patreon. It's $1 a month. What else do we got? That's about it. All right, I'll see you next week. Peace.